Hey guys, tonight we plunge into the suffocating darkness of an ancient Egyptian tomb where the air smells of dust and forgotten gods. Picture this, you're sprawled on a cold stone floor, the weight of centuries pressing down. Your fingers brush gritty limestone, and a faint hum, like the desert's own heartbeat, vibrates through the walls. You're trapped, alone, in a maze built to guard a pharaoh's soul. Spoiler alert, you probably won't survive this, but let's see how far you get. So, before you get comfortable, take a moment to like the video and subscribe, but only if you genuinely enjoy what I do here. Drop a comment with your location and local time. I'd love to know who's joining us from where. Now, dim the lights, maybe cover with blanket for that soft background hum, and let's ease into tonight's journey together. Your eyes snap open, but the darkness is so thick it feels like a blindfold. You blink, hoping for shapes, but nothing comes. The air is heavy, like breathing through a scarf, and it carries a sour tang of decayed offerings left for some long-dead king. You push yourself up, palms scraping the uneven floor, and your heart thuds loud enough to wake Anubis himself. Where are you? The last thing you remember is nothing, just this. Your hands fumble, finding a wall, its surface cool and carved with shapes you can't see but can feel. Curved lines, sharp angles, hieroglyphs maybe? You're no Indiana Jones, but you know this isn't a tourist trap. This is real, and you're in deep. You stand, legs wobbly, and take a step. The silence is oppressive, broken only by the soft crunch of sand under your shoes. Fun fact, ancient Egyptians designed tombs like these in the Valley of the Kings to deter robbers, with hidden chambers and false paths. Built around 1500 BCE, they were engineering marvels meant to protect pharaohs for eternity. Good luck with that eternity thing, because right now, you're the one who needs protecting. Your fingers trace the wall, searching for anything, a clue, a lever, a way out. You half expect a boulder to roll down in some cheesy movie. Joke's on you, though, the real traps are way sneakier. There's a quirky detail about these tombs. Workers sometimes left graffiti, little doodles or complaints about their bosses scratched into the stone. Imagine some ancient guy chiseling away, muttering about his sore back. Historians still argue whether these marks were rebellion or just boredom, but they're proof even the past had its slackers. You smirk, picturing it, but the thought fades as something shifts in the dark. A faint skitter, like pebbles scattering. Your breath catches. Is that wind or something alive? You freeze, straining to hear, but the sound doesn't repeat. Your skin prickles. This place doesn't want you here. You take another step, and the floor feels wrong, uneven. Your foot nudges something small and hard, a pottery shard maybe. You crouch, fumbling, and your fingers close around it. It's smooth, curved, with a faint ridge. Could be useful, or useless. You pocket it, just in case. The darkness presses closer, and you realize you're holding your breath. Exhale, inhale. The air's getting thinner, isn't it? Or is that just panic creeping in? You need light, a plan, something. You pat your pockets. Phone's dead, of course. Typical. But there's a flinty smell now, like struck stone. You follow it, hands outstretched, stumbling like a kid playing pin the tail on the donkey. A wall looms ahead, and you lean against it, catching your breath. Your fingers brush a groove, deeper than the others. You trace it, heart racing. It's not random, it's a symbol. A reed maybe, or an eye. You're no expert, but you know these tombs were built to confuse. Every step could be a trap. You swallow hard, picturing spiked pits or poison darts. Okay, maybe not darts, but the point is, you're not exactly strolling through a museum. You need to move, but where? Forward? Deeper into the tomb? Or back? To what? You don't even know how you got here. You pick a direction, forward, because standing still feels like giving up. The wall guides you, its carvings like a story you can't read. Another joke pops into your head. What do you call an Egyptian tomb? A pharaohly bad Airbnb. You chuckle, but it's hollow. The skittering sound comes again, closer this time. You stop, heart hammering. Something's out there. Or maybe the tomb itself is alive, playing tricks. You shake it off. Focus. You're in a chamber, maybe the first of many. The air's cooler here, but that's not comforting. It's a reminder this place was built for the dead, not you. The darkness clings to you like a second skin, and every step feels like wading through molasses. You're still in this Egyptian tomb, the wall's hieroglyphs mocking your blindness from section 1. That pottery shard in your pocket? It's your only souvenir so far, and it's not exactly a lifeline. Now the air's turning against you. It's not just heavy anymore, it's thinning, like the tomb's decided you don't deserve to breathe. Your chest tightens, each inhale a shallow sip of something stale and gritty. You pause, one hand on the cool limestone wall, and try to steady yourself. Spoiler, it's not working. You shuffle forward, the crunch of sand underfoot your only guide. The air smells like old leather and something faintly metallic, like the tomb's exhaling its secrets. Your lungs burn, and you're starting to wonder if this is how it ends, gasping in a pharaoh's basement. Fun fact, ancient Egyptians sealed tombs tight to keep out robbers and preserve the dead, sometimes using plaster and stone to make them near airtight. Bad news for you, because that means oxygen's a limited time offer. You're basically in a 3,000-year-old Tupperware container, and the lid's on tight. Your head spins, and you lean against the wall, its carvings digging into your palm. You try to focus, but the lack of air's making you woozy. A quirky tidbit floats up. Some tombs had ventilation shafts, tiny slits to let priests' chants carry to the dead. Not for breathing, mind you, just for vibes. Historians still argue whether these shafts were symbolic or practical, but right now, you're praying for one. You run your hands along the wall, desperate for a breeze, a crack, anything. Nothing. Just stone, smooth and unyielding. You're not claustrophobic, but this place is making a strong case for it. You take a step, then another, forcing yourself to move. The floor slopes slightly downward, which feels like a bad omen. Deeper into the tomb? Great choice, genius. You smirk at your own sarcasm, but it's a weak defense against the panic creeping in. Your breaths are shallow now, each one a battle. You picture those old cartoons where characters turn blue, except this isn't funny. Joke time. Why don't tombs have air conditioning? Because the dead don't sweat. You snort, but it's more of a wheeze. The air's so thin, it's like trying to breathe through a straw. Something shifts in the dark. A faint hiss, like wind sneaking through a gap. You freeze, heart pounding. Is that real, or are you hallucinating? Oxygen deprivation's a jerk like that. You inch toward the sound, hands outstretched, feeling like a zombie in a bad horror flick. Your fingers brush something new. Not a wall, but a narrow ledge. You trace it, and there's a dip, a groove. Could it be one of those ventilation shafts? You lean closer, and a faint puff of air tickles your face. It's weak, barely a whisper, but it's real. You press your cheek to the stone, gulping it like a kid with a juice box. The air's cooler here, carrying a hint of dust and water? That's weird. Tombs aren't exactly known for their plumbing. You file that away, too tired to puzzle it out. Your head's clearing, just a bit, but you're not out of the woods. The shaft's too small to climb through, and the air it's giving you is more of a tease than a solution. You need to keep moving, find a chamber with more oxygen, or you're done for. You remember that skittering sound from before, those pebbles or whatever. Maybe it's a sign of something alive, something that knows a way out. Or maybe it's just rats. Either way, it's a lead. The air's cooler here, carrying a hint of dust and water. That's weird. Tombs aren't exactly known for their plumbing. You file that away, too tired to puzzle it.
You push off the wall, legs shaky but determined. The slope's getting steeper and the air's still thin, but that tiny breeze gives you hope. You're not sure if it's the tomb's design or dumb luck, but you're grateful for it. Another joke pops up. What's an Egyptian tomb's favorite game? Hide and suffocate. You shake your head, wishing you could laugh properly. The darkness feels heavier now, like it's watching you struggle. You grip the pottery shard in your pocket, its edges grounding you. You're not giving up yet, but this tomb's got you on the ropes. The faint breeze from that ventilation shaft in Section 2 is already a distant memory, and you're back to stumbling through the tomb's oppressive darkness. Your lungs are still grumpy, but you're managing, barely. That pottery shard in your pocket feels like a talisman, though it's probably just trash. Now the walls around you seem to hum, not with sound, but with something older, like they're trying to tell you something. You press your hand against the stone, and it's not just cold anymore. It's alive with carvings that catch the barest flicker of light. Wait, light? Where's that coming from? You squint, heart skipping, as the hieroglyphs start to glow, faint and ghostly, like they've decided you're worth talking to. You're no Egyptologist, but you know these symbols are more than decoration. They're stories, spells, maybe even warnings. The glow's soft, bluish, like moonlight trapped in the stone. You trace a shape, an ankh, the cross with a loop, symbol of life. Ironic, considering your one bad move from the opposite. Fun fact, hieroglyphs were used in tombs to guide the dead to the afterlife, often spelling out rituals or the pharaoh's deeds. These ones, carved around 2500 BCE, might be your only map, or a trap to keep you here forever. You swallow hard, wishing you'd paid more attention in history class. The glow pulses, and you step back, half expecting the wall to bite. A quirky detail hits you. Some tombs had curse inscriptions, not to scare robbers, but to guilt-trip them, like, "Steal my gold and your crops will fail." Subtle, right? Historians still argue whether these curses were real magic or just ancient PR stunts, but the way these walls are glowing, you're not ruling anything out. You follow the light, fingers brushing symbols. A falcon, a reed, a coiled snake. Each one feels like a word you can't quite hear, whispering about gods and kings who don't like trespassers. Your eyes adjust, and the chamber's bigger than you thought. The glowing hieroglyphs outline a space maybe 10 feet wide, with a low ceiling that makes you hunch. You're basically in a stone box, and the air's still stingy, though the glow's distracting you from your wheezing. You spot a cartouche, an oval with symbols inside, probably a pharaoh's name. Could be Ramses or Tutankhamun, but you're not stopping to play Name That King. You've got bigger problems, like the fact that the glow's fading in some spots, like it's guiding you somewhere. Or luring you. Same difference. You shuffle forward, following the brightest symbols. A joke bubbles up. Why do hieroglyphs glow? Because they're the original night lights. You smirk, but it's forced. The carvings shift under your fingers, telling a story you can only guess at. Maybe a pharaoh's journey to the underworld, or a warning about what happens to people like you. The glow leads to a narrow archway, its edges sharp and uninviting. You hesitate, picturing every horror movie where going through the creepy door ends badly. But staying here's not an option. You duck through, the stone brushing your shoulders, and the air changes, cooler with a hint of damp. The new chamber's darker, but the hieroglyphs keep glowing, now showing scenes. A figure with a jackal head, probably Anubis, weighing a heart against a feather. You shiver, hoping that's not a hint about your immediate future. The walls feel closer here, like the tomb's tightening its grip. You're starting to think these carvings aren't just art, they're instructions, or maybe a test. You trace another symbol, a scarab beetle, and the glow flares, lighting up a path across the floor. It's faint, but it's there, like a trail of breadcrumbs. You follow it, heart pounding, because what else can you do?
Something skitters again, same as before, but louder. You freeze, the glow dimming as if it's shy. Rats? Bugs? Or something worse? You clutch that pottery shard, wishing it was a flashlight. The sound fades, but your nerves don't. You're alone, but the walls are watching, their glowing symbols judging every step. Another joke? What's an Egyptian tomb's favorite book? The Da Vinci Code, obviously. You shake your head, refocusing. The glowing path leads to another wall, this one with a single massive eye carved into it. It stares, unblinking, and you swear it's daring you to keep going. That glowing eye from Section 3 is still burning into you, but the hieroglyphs' faint light has dimmed, leaving you in a gloom that's more gray than black. You're deeper in this Egyptian tomb now, the air cool and damp, with that pottery shard still rattling in your pocket like a nervous sidekick. The eye's carved stare feels personal, but you shake it off and move forward, one hand trailing the wall. Then your foot catches. Nothing's there. Your heart lurches as you stumble, and you realize the floor just dropped an inch. You freeze, breath hitching, because in a place like this, oops could mean dead. The tomb's not just a maze, it's a machine, and you're about to meet one of its tricks. You crouch, feeling the ground. The stone's smooth, but there's a seam, a hairline crack. You press it, and a faint click echoes, too loud in the silence. The floor shifts, and you dive back, just as a slab slides open, revealing a pit. You can't see the bottom, but a stale gust wafts up, smelling of dust and something sharp, like old metal. Spikes? You're not sticking around to find out. Fun fact, Egyptian tombs, especially from the New Kingdom around 1500 BCE, often had pit traps to catch robbers, lined with sharp stones or worse. This one's no tourist replica. It's the real deal, and it nearly had your name on it. Your pulse is doing cartwheels, but you're alive, sprawled on the cold floor. You laugh, shaky, because what else can you do? Joke time? Why do tombs have traps? To give robbers a pointed lesson. You push yourself up, dusting off sand that's probably older than your family tree. A quirky tidbit pops up. Some traps were rigged with weights, so stepping on the wrong stone could drop you or crush you. The builders were crafty, hiding mechanisms behind plaster. Historians still argue whether these were meant to kill or just scare, but as you eye that pit, you're voting for kill. You edge around the hole, hugging the wall. The hieroglyphs are dark now, no more glowing breadcrumbs, so you're back to feeling your way like a blindfolded kid at a piñata party. Your fingers find more carvings, lotus flowers maybe, or snakes. They're less comforting than before. Every step's a gamble, and you're hyper-aware of the floor now, testing each slab with your toe. The chamber's wider here, the air heavier, like it's been sitting untouched for millennia. You picture the workers who built this, sweating and cursing as they rigged traps to protect some pharaoh's gold. Bet they didn't expect you. A faint scrape sounds ahead, not the skittering from before, but something heavier, like stone on stone. You stop, straining to hear. Your mind conjures swinging blades or collapsing ceilings, thanks to too many movies. You inch forward, and the floor feels solid, but you're not trusting it. There's a new smell now, earthy and sharp, like wet clay. Another trap? You kneel, running your hands over the ground, and find another seam, this one wider. You don't press it,
fool me once, right? Instead, you step over it, harden your throat, and keep moving. The wall curves, leading you into a narrower passage. You're squeezing through, shoulders brushing stone, when you notice the floor sloping again, downward, because apparently this tomb loves messing with you. You're not sure if it's leading to freedom or a deeper trap, but standing still's not an option. Another joke. What's a tomb's favorite dance? The trap step. You snort, but it's half-hearted. The passage widens, and you step into a new space, the air cooler but no less stale. Something glints ahead, a reflection maybe, or just your eyes playing tricks.
You take a cautious step, then another, testing the floor like it's a frozen lake. No pits yet, but you're not relaxing. That glint's still there, faint and metallic. You creep closer, and it's a tool? A bronze chisel, half buried in sand. You pick it up, its weight solid in your hand. Could be useful for prying, or, worst case, fending off whatever's making those noises. You pocket it, feeling slightly less useless. The tomb's traps are out to get you, but you're learning, slowly. One wrong step, though, and you're a goner. You're still clutching that bronze chisel from Section 4, its heft a small comfort as you navigate this Egyptian tomb's endless shadows. The pit trap's gaping maw is behind you, but the memory of that near drop keeps your steps cautious. The air's cooler now, with a damp edge that clings to your skin, and the walls feel closer, like the tomb's squeezing you into its next test. You're not alone, though, not quite. There's a weight in the darkness, not a sound or a shape, but a presence, like eyes boring into you. You pause, chisel raised, and swear the air hums with judgment. The gods are watching, and they're not impressed. You inch forward, the chisel's edge scraping the wall for guidance. The stone's smoother here, polished, and your fingers catch faint carvings, maybe a falcon or a throne. These aren't just decorations, they're divine scorecards. Fun fact, ancient Egyptians believed gods like Osiris and Anubis guarded tombs, ensuring only the worthy reached the afterlife. Built around 2000 BCE, these sacred spaces were meant to keep souls safe and intruders like you out. You're not here to steal, but try telling that to the jackal-headed bouncer who's probably sizing you up right now. Your foot nudges something soft and you flinch, picturing a snake or worse. It's just cloth, rotted and crumbly, maybe an ancient bandage. You step over it, heart racing. A quirky tidbit, priests sometimes left offerings in tombs, like food or linen, to appease the gods. Spoiler, the gods aren't sharing. Historians still argue whether these offerings were purely symbolic or meant to placate restless spirits, but that cloth's not helping you. You feel exposed, like every step's being weighed on some cosmic scale. Is that Anubis out there, or just your paranoia? Either way, you're not sticking around for a chat. The passage narrows, forcing you to sidle through, the chisel scraping sparks that die instantly. You're starting to think this tomb's alive, toying with you. Joke time. Why don't gods play chess? Too busy checkmating tomb crashers. You smirk, but it's shaky. The air's thicker now, carrying a faint incense-like whiff, myrrh maybe, from some long-gone ritual. It's oddly soothing, until you realize it's masking something sharper, like ozone before a storm. You freeze, sensing that presence again, stronger now. It's not just watching, it's waiting. You press on, because what else can you do? The wall opens into a wider chamber, and the air shifts, cooler but heavier, like you've stepped into a cathedral. You can't see much, but the chisel scrapes echo, suggesting a high ceiling. You wave it like a wand, hoping for a miracle, and catch a faint gleam. Another carving, this one massive. You trace it, a figure with a sun disk head, probably Ra. It's majestic, but its eyes feel like lasers. You step back, half expecting it to move.
The gods don't mess around, and you're definitely on their turf. A sound breaks the silence, not the skittering from before, but a low hum, like a distant chant. Your skin prickles. Is that real, or is the tomb gaslighting you? You grip the chisel tighter, wishing it was a phone with a signal. Another joke. What's a god's favorite app? Divine intervention. You shake your head, refocusing. The hum fades, but the presence doesn't. You're being judged, and the verdict's not looking good. You move forward, keeping the wall at your side, and notice the floor's tiled now, each slab suspiciously even. Another trap? You test each step, praying you don't trigger a divine PowerPoint presentation.
The chamber's far wall looms, and you find another carving. This one's Osiris, green-skinned and serene, holding a crook and flail. You're no expert, but you know he's the big boss of the underworld. You bow your head, just in case, feeling like a kid caught sneaking cookies. The presence eases, just a fraction, and you exhale. Maybe you're not doomed yet. You spot a low archway ahead, its edges worn but intact. It's your only way out, but the god's eyes follow you, silent and unyielding. You duck through, chisel ready, hoping you're not about to flunk their test. You're through the archway from Section 5, the god's silent judgment still prickling your neck like an itch you can't scratch. The bronze chisel in your hand feels heavier, and that pottery shard in your pocket is starting to seem like a bad luck charm. The air in this new chamber is sharper, with a bitter tang that stings your nose, and the darkness is thicker, swallowing what little courage you've scraped together. You take a step, and something crunches underfoot, not sand, but something brittle. You freeze, heart hammering, as a faint skittering erupts around you, like a dozen tiny feet fleeing. Scorpions! You're not alone, and your new roommates are the venomous kind. You back up, waving the chisel like it's a magic wand, but it's useless against creatures you can't see. The skittering fades, but your pulse doesn't slow. You're in an Egyptian tomb, and these little nightmares are part of the package. Fun fact, scorpions were common in ancient Egypt, and tombs from the Middle Kingdom around 2000 BCE often housed them as unintentional guardians. Their stings could kill, and the Egyptians revered them as symbols of protection, even crafting amulets in their image. Great for them, less great for you, because one wrong step could turn this adventure into a hospital visit, if you had a hospital. You crouch, feeling the floor. It's littered with small, dry husks, dead scorpions maybe, or their shed skins. You shudder, picturing their living cousins waiting to say hi. A quirky tidbit, Egyptians used scorpion venom in medicine, believing it could cure ailments if diluted. Good luck finding a pharmacist down here. Historians still argue whether these critters were left in tombs on purpose as a natural trap or just moved in later. Either way, you're not keen on testing their hospitality. You stand, moving slowly, each step a prayer not to crunch anything alive. The air's getting mustier, and you're hyper-aware of every sound. You swing the chisel gently, tapping the floor like a blind person's cane, hoping to scare off any scorpions before they get too friendly. Joke time? Why do scorpions love tombs? Free rent and no neighbors. You smirk, but it's forced. The wall's still your guide, its carvings rougher now, maybe snakes or crocodiles, fitting given your current company. You're starting to think this tomb's got a sense of humor, and you're the punchline. Another skitter sounds, closer, and you jump, nearly dropping the chisel. You press against the wall, catching your breath. The chamber's small, the ceiling low enough to graze your head if you stand straight. You're not claustrophobic, but this place is making a strong case. You move forward, tapping the floor, and something brushes your ankle. Light, like a feather, but it's enough to make you yelp. You kick out, hitting nothing but air, and realize it was probably just cloth or debris. Still, your heart's in your throat, and you're picturing a scorpion convention planning your demise. Another joke. What's a scorpion's favorite song? Sting me softly. You shake your head, wishing you could laugh properly. A faint glow catches your eye, not the hieroglyphs this time, but something low near the floor. You inch closer, tapping the ground, and find a small alcove, barely a foot high. Inside, there's a clay lamp, its wick long gone, but a faint shimmer of oil remains, reflecting your non-existent light source. You're not sure how you're seeing it, but you're past questioning this tomb's logic. You reach for it, then stop, remembering those scorpions. No sudden moves. You tap the alcove's edge with the chisel. Clear. You grab the lamp, its clay cool and surprisingly intact. It's empty, but it's something.
You tuck the lamp under your arm, feeling marginally less doomed. The skittering's quieter now, or maybe you're just tuning it out. The wall curves, leading to another passage, this one so narrow you'll have to sidle through. You hesitate, picturing a scorpion welcome party on the other side. The air's cooler ahead, with a faint breeze that smells of stone and something alive. You grip the chisel, wishing you'd packed bug spray. Another step, and the skittering starts again, behind you now. You don't look back. You're not here to make friends, and those gods from before, they're probably betting on the scorpions. You're still clutching that empty clay lamp from Section 6, its cool weight a small anchor as you sidle through the narrow passage, scorpions hopefully left behind. The bronze chisel's in your other hand, and that pottery shard's still jingling in your pocket like a grim reminder of how underprepared you are. The air's colder now, with a musty edge that sticks in your throat, and the darkness feels heavier, like it's pressing on your shoulders. You're deep in this Egyptian tomb, and something's changed. Not a sound or a sight, but a feeling. It's like the air's thickened with intent, and you're not just being watched anymore. You're being hunted. The mummy's curse, that old campfire story, doesn't feel so silly now. You pause, back against the wall, and strain to hear anything over your own ragged breathing. Nothing. Just silence, but it's the kind that screams trouble. You're starting to think this tomb's got a personal grudge. Fun fact, the idea of a mummy's curse kicked off in the 19th century after Tutankhamun's tomb was opened in 1922, with rumors of deaths tied to bad luck or ancient magic. No hard proof, but right now, you're feeling pretty cursed. Your skin prickles, and you swear something moves in the dark. Not scorpions, not rats, but something bigger, slower, deliberate. You inch forward, chisel raised like it'll do any good against a vengeful corpse. The passage widens, and you step into a chamber, the air so still it feels like a held breath. A quirky tidbit. Some tombs had spells inscribed to bind the dead, keeping their spirits from wandering. Priests thought a restless mummy could curse the living, though historians still argue if this was fear or just ritual theater. You're not laughing either way, because that presence is stronger now, like a shadow just out of sight. You wave the lamp, hoping for a spark of light, but it's useless without oil or a wick. Your foot brushes something soft, and you flinch, expecting another trap. It's just linen, brittle and gray, maybe part of a mummy's wrappings. You step over it, heart pounding. Joke time, why don't mummies use tinder? They're too wrapped up in themselves. You smirk, but it's shaky. The chamber's walls are smoother, almost polished, and you trace them, finding no carvings, just blank stone. That's weird. Tombs love their hieroglyphs, so why the minimalist vibe? You're not sure if it's a good sign or a setup for something worse. A faint rustle breaks the silence, like cloth dragging over stone. You spin, chisel out, but see nothing. Your mind screaming, "Mummy," but you tell yourself it's just the tomb playing tricks. Still, you move faster, keeping the wall at your side. The air's getting colder, and there's a new smell, bitter, like old herbs or resin. You remember reading about mummification, how they used natron and oils to preserve bodies.
Great, now you're sniffing a pharaoh's spa day. Another rustle, closer, and you freeze. It's behind you, isn't it? You don't turn, just keep moving, pretending you're not freaking out. The chamber narrows again, and you spot a low platform ahead, maybe an altar or a sarcophagus base. You approach, lamp and chisel ready, and see faint scratches on the stone. Not carvings, but claw marks, like someone tried to dig their way out. Your stomach twists. Another joke. What's a mummy's worst nightmare? A bad rap job. You force a chuckle, but it's hollow. The chamber's walls are smoother, almost polished, and you trace them, finding no carvings, just blank stone. That's weird. Tombs love their hieroglyphs, so why the minimalist vibe? You're not sure if it's a good sign or a setup for something worse. A faint rustle breaks the silence, like cloth dragging over stone. You spin, chisel out, but see nothing. Your mind screaming mummy, but you tell yourself it's just the tomb playing tricks. Still, you move faster, keeping the wall at your side. The air's getting colder, and there's a new smell, bitter, like old herbs or resin. You remember reading about mummification, how they use natron and oils to preserve bodies. Great, now you're sniffing a pharaoh.
You circle the platform, and the air shifts, warmer, like something's exhaling nearby. You back away, bumping into the wall, and hear that rustle again. Definitely cloth, definitely moving. You're not waiting for an introduction. You spot a dark archway across the chamber, its edges jagged, like it was hacked open later. It's your only exit, and you bolt for it, not caring if it's a trap. The curse, or whatever it is, feels like it's reaching for you, and you're not about to shake its hand. You duck through the archway, the linens rustle fading, but the weight of that presence still clinging like damp cloth. You've just ducked through that jagged archway from Section 7, the mummy's curse, or whatever that creepy rustling was, still nipping at your heels. The bronze chisel sweaty in your grip, the clay lamp's useless weight bangs against your hip, and that pottery shard in your pocket feels like a mocking souvenir. The new chamber's air is drier, with a flinty smell that scratches your throat, and the darkness is so thick you're practically swimming in it. You pause, heart still racing, and notice your only light source, a faint, flickering glow, isn't your imagination. It's a torch wedged in a wall sconce, its flame barely clinging to life. You've got light, but it's on its last legs, and you're not exactly a fire-starting pro. You rush to the torch, careful not to trip over some unseen trap. The flame's weak, casting jittery shadows that make the walls look alive. You grab it, the handle rough and warm, and hold it high. The chamber's small, with rough-hewn walls and a sandy floor littered with broken pottery. Fun fact, torches in tombs, used by priests or robbers, were often made with linen and pitch, burning for hours but needing constant care. This one's from maybe 1500 BCE, and it's your lifeline, if you can keep it alive. You're not sure how it's still burning, but you're not complaining. You wave the torch, and the shadows dance, revealing faint scratches on the walls, not hieroglyphs, but tally marks, like someone was counting days. A quirky tidbit, tomb robbers sometimes left marks to track their progress, though some think these were workers' tallies. Historians still argue whether they're proof of theft or just ancient doodles, but they're giving you the creeps. You're starting to feel like you're not the first to stumble here, and the last guy didn't leave a 5-star review. You check the torch's flame. It's flickering, hungry for air or fuel, and you've got neither to spare. You move forward, torch held like a shield. The lights dim, barely reaching 10 feet, and every step feels like a gamble. Joke time. Why do tombs have bad lighting? They're on a pharaoh's budget. You smirk, but it's tense. The air's getting thinner again, and the torch's flame dips, making you curse under your breath. You spot a pile of debris, more linen, some charred wood. You tear a strip of cloth, hoping it's not cursed, and wrap it around the torch's head. The flame sputters, then steadies, but it's a temporary fix. You're no Boy Scout, and this isn't a campfire. A faint draft brushes your face, and you freeze, holding the torch higher. It's coming from a crack in the wall, too narrow to squeeze through, but enough to tease you with fresher air. You lean close, and the flame flares, nearly singeing your hair. Okay, note to self, fire plus face equals bad. The draft's your only clue, so you follow the wall, torch casting wobbly light. The chamber ceiling is low, forcing you to hunch, and you're starting to think this place was built to make you feel small. Another joke, what's a torch's worst fear? A gust with attitude. You shake your head, refocusing. Something glints in the sand, a metal ring half buried. You kneel, keeping the torch steady, and dig it out. It's bronze, maybe part of a tool or jewelry, etched with a tiny scarab. You pocket it, because why not? The torch's flame dips again, and you curse, shaking it gently like that'll help. The light's fading fast, and you're not ready to go back to blind mode. You spot a narrow passage ahead, its walls rough and unpolished, like it was dug in a hurry. The draft's stronger there, but so's the sense that something's waiting. You remember that rustling from before. Still no sign of it, but you're not ruling out a rematch.
You head for the passage, torch held high, its flame now a pathetic flicker. The walls close in, scraping your shoulders, and the air's cooler but no less stingy. You're rationing your breaths, trying not to panic. The torch's light catches a faint carving, a single ankh, rough and hurried, like a last-ditch prayer. You touch it, hoping for luck, but the flame gutters, and you're one gust away from darkness. You've got to move faster, find more fuel, or this tomb's about to turn your adventure into a blackout. You're barely keeping that torch alive from Section 8, its pitiful flame flickering like it's got stage fright. The bronze chisel still in your grip, the clay lamps banging against your hip, and your pocket's a junk drawer with that pottery shard and new bronze ring. You're in a narrow passage of this Egyptian tomb, the walls so close they're practically hugging you, and the draft you followed is fading, leaving you with stale air and a growing sense of dread. The ankh carving you touched didn't bring luck, just more darkness. And now you're facing a new problem. The passage ends at a wall, smooth and solid, with no way through. It's a false door, mocking you with its promise of escape, and this tomb's starting to feel like it's got a personal vendetta. You hold the torch closer, its weak light revealing the door's details. Carved with lotus flowers and a faint outline of a figure, maybe a pharaoh or a god, arms crossed like they're saying, "Nice try." Fun fact, false doors in tombs, common in the Old Kingdom around 2500 BCE, were spiritual portals for the dead to receive offerings, not actual exits. Great for the afterlife, useless for you. You push against it, hoping for a secret switch, but it's as cooperative as a cat in a bath. The flame dips, and you curse, shaking the torch to coax it back. You're not giving up, but this door's got you second-guessing your life choices. You trace the carvings, fingers catching on a quirky detail, a tiny frog, barely an inch wide, tucked among the lotuses. Frogs symbolized fertility in ancient Egypt, but why's it here? Historians still argue whether these odd symbols were decorative or magical, but you're hoping for the latter. You press the frog, half expecting a Scooby-Doo panel to slide open. Nothing. You sigh, feeling like you're in a puzzle game with no walkthrough. The torch's flame sputters again, and you're painfully aware of how little time you've got before you're back to groping in the dark. You step back, scanning the door for anything useful. The light catches a faint seam, not on the door, but to its side, where the wall meets the floor. You kneel, torch trembling, and see a crack, barely wide enough for the chisel. You wedge it in, prying with all you've got, and a small stone shifts, revealing another wall. Joke time, why do tombs love fake doors? They're the ultimate ghosting move. You groan, but keep digging, because what else can you do? The crack widens, and a puff of dusty air hits you. Not fresh, but different, like it's from another chamber. The torch's flame is a sad little spark now, and you're rationing its light like it's the last slice of pizza. You work faster, chiseling at the crack, and a slab loosens, just enough to squeeze through. You hesitate, picturing more traps or that rustling presence from before.
The false door's still there, taunting you, and you're starting to think it's laughing. Another joke. What's a false door's favorite lie? This way out. You shake your head, focusing. The gap's tight, but you're not staying here to become a mummy's roommate. You shove the lamp and chisel through first, then wriggle after them, torch held like a lifeline. You tumble into a new space, the torch's flame flaring briefly before settling. The chamber's larger, with a high ceiling you can't see, and the air's cooler, carrying a faint whiff of something sweet, maybe old incense. You stand, dusting off, and wave the torch. The walls are bare, no carvings, just rough stone, like this place was never finished. The floor's uneven, littered with small stones, and you spot another false door across the chamber, its carvings even fancier. Great, another dead end? You're not falling for it this time. You check the torch, it's got minutes left, tops. You need a real exit, not more of the tomb's mind games.
A faint clink sounds behind you, like metal on stone. You spin, torch raised, but see nothing. Your nerves are shot, and that curse from earlier feels closer than ever. You're not sure if it's the tomb, the gods, or just your imagination, but something's out there, and it's not offering directions. You grip the chisel, wishing you'd packed a map. The false door's a bust, but that crack you crawled through means there's more to this place. You just have to find it before your light and your luck runs out. You're standing in this unfinished chamber from Section 9, the torch in your hand barely aglow now, its flame gasping like it's ready to quit. The bronze chisels back in your grip, the clay lamps still useless, and your pockets a museum of bad decisions with that pottery shard and bronze ring. The false door's fancy carvings are behind you, still smirking at your gullibility, and the air's thick with that sweet, incense-like scent that's starting to feel more eerie than soothing. You wave the torch, and its dying light catches something new. A row of canopic jars, perched on a low ledge like silent sentinels. Their alabaster lids, shaped like a human, a baboon, a jackal, and a falcon, stare at you, and you're pretty sure they're not thrilled about your visit. You step closer, torch trembling, and the jars gleam, their polished surfaces untouched by the tomb's dust. Fun fact, canopic jars, used since the Old Kingdom around 2500 BCE, held a mummy's organs, liver, lungs, stomach, intestines, preserved for the afterlife. Each lid represented a son of Horus, guarding its contents. You're not here to gut anyone, but those jars are giving you serious side-eye. You lean in, and the human-headed lid, Imsity, if you remember right, seems to follow you. You blink, telling yourself it's just the flickering light, but your skin's crawling. A quirky tidbit. Some jars were fakes, filled with junk to fool robbers, while others held spells to curse thieves. Historians still argue whether these were decoys or sacred backups, but you're not eager to crack one open. You tap the baboon-headed jar, Hoppy, with the chisel, half expecting it to hiss. It's solid, heavy, and definitely not empty. You back off, picturing some ancient priest cackling as he rigged these to freak out people like you. The torch dips, and you shake it, coaxing a weak flare. You've got minutes before you're blind again, and these jars aren't exactly handing out exit signs. You circle the ledge, peeping your distance. The jar's stares feel personal, like they're judging your resume for tomb intruder. Joke time, why don't canopic jars talk? They're too busy holding grudges. You smirk, but it's shaky. The chamber's walls are still rough, no carvings, but you spot a faint outline on the floor, rectangular, like a trapdoor or a sunken panel. You kneel, torch low, and see it sealed with plaster, cracked but intact. You're not sure if it's a way out or a one-way ticket to Spike City, but it's more promising than that false door. You wedge the chisel into the plaster, prying gently. The torch's flame gutters, and you're working half-blind, relying on touch. A piece breaks off, revealing stone beneath, and a faint whiff of something sour, maybe old air or worse, hits you.
You pause, remembering those jars. Are they watching? You glance back, and the falcon-headed Kebasanuf seems to glint, but it's just your torch being dramatic. Another joke. What's a canopic jar's favorite game? Organize the intruder. You smirk, but it's shaky. The chamber's walls are still rough, no carvings, but you spot a faint outline on the floor, rectangular, like a trapdoor or a sunken panel. You kneel, torch low, and see it sealed with plaster, cracked but intact. You're not sure if it's a way out or a one-way ticket to Spike City, but it's more promising than that false door. You wedge the chisel into the plaster, prying gently. The torch's flame gutters, and you're working half-blind, relying on touch. A piece breaks off, revealing stone beneath, and a faint whiff of something sour, maybe old air or worse, hits you. You pause, remembering those jars. Are they watching? You glance back, and the falcon-headed Kebasanuf seems to glint, but it's just your torch being dramatic. Another joke. What's a canopic jar's favorite game? Organize the intruder. You shake your head, focusing. The plaster's crumbling, but the panel's heavy, and you're not sure you can lift it without dousing the torch. A soft thud echoes behind you, not the rustling from before, but something heavier, like a stone shifting. You spin, torch raised, and see nothing but shadows. Your heart's doing somersaults, and those jars.
You fumble for the panel, blind, and shove it aside, the chisel scraping loudly. The gap's wide enough to crawl through, but you hesitate, picturing more traps or those jars somehow following you. That thud comes again, closer, and you're done waiting. You shove the lamp and chisel through, then squeeze after them, scraping your knees on stone. The new space is colder, the air fresher but heavy with damp. You're blind, but you're alive, and those canopic jars are behind you, for now. You just hope they don't have friends waiting ahead. You've just crawled through that narrow gap from Section 10, leaving those creepy canopic jars and their judgmental stares behind. The torch is dead, so you're back to stumbling blind, the bronze chisel in one hand, the clay lamp in the other, and your pockets still rattling with that pottery shard and bronze ring. The new chamber's air is colder, damp enough to slick your skin, and it carries a faint mineral tang like wet stone. You're deep in this Egyptian tomb, and the darkness feels personal now, like it's daring you to keep going. Your fingers brush a wall, and you freeze. There's a low hum, not from the stone, but from something ahead, steady and rhythmic, like a heartbeat. Then you see it, a massive sarcophagus, its stone bulk barely visible in a faint, sourceless glow, sitting like a king on a throne, and it's calling you closer. You inch forward, the chisel raised, like it'll do any good against a coffin built for a pharaoh. The sarcophagus is huge, easily 10 feet long, its lid carved with a serene face, probably the guy who owns this place. Fun fact, sarcophagi in New Kingdom tombs, around 1500 BCE, were often granite or quartzite, weighing tons and sealed to protect the mummy from robbers. This one's no exception, and it's giving you serious don't-touch vibes. You're not here to loot, but the way it's glowing, you're not ruling out supernatural shenanigans. You circle it, keeping your distance. The glow's faint, greenish, like it's coming from the stone itself. A quirky tidbit, some sarcophagi had hidden compartments for amulets or scrolls meant to aid the dead's journey. Historians still argue whether these were purely ritual or doubled as anti-theft measures, but you're not popping the lid to find out. You tap the chisel against the side, and the hum stops, leaving a silence that's somehow louder. You swallow hard, picturing that mummy from earlier, rustling and ready for round two. The sarcophagus doesn't move, but it feels alive, like it's sizing you up. Your foot nudges something, small, metallic. You kneel, fumbling blind, and find a tiny ankh pendant, its loop cool in your palm. You pocket it, because at this point you're collecting trinkets like a magpie. Joke time, why don't sarcophagi have locks? The dead trust their curses. You smirk, but it's shaky. The glow dims, and you're back in near darkness, the sarcophagus now just a looming shape. You're not sure if you're imagining it, but the air's heavier, like the tomb's holding its breath. You back away, not turning your back on that coffin, because you've seen enough movies to know better.
A faint scrape sounds, not from the sarcophagus, but from the wall behind it. You freeze, heart pounding. It's not the rustling or the thud from before, but something deliberate, like stone grinding. You edge toward it, chisel out, and find a seam in the wall, barely visible. You trace it, and it's a panel, not a false door this time, too rough, too hidden. You wedge the chisel in, prying, and a sliver of stone shifts, letting out a puff of dusty air. Another joke. What's a sarcophagus's favorite hobby? Playing dead. You shake your head, working faster. The panel's stuck, but it's your best shot at getting out of here. The scrape comes again, louder, and you glance at the sarcophagus, half expecting its lid to slide open. Nothing moves, but that hums back, low and insistent. You're not sticking around for an encore. You shove the chisel deeper, and the panel groans, opening just enough to slip through. You hesitate, picturing traps or worse on the other side. The sarcophagus's glow flares, like it's daring you to stay. Nope, not today. You push the lamp and chisel through, then squeeze after them, scraping your shoulders. The new space is tighter, the air colder, and the hum's gone, but you feel it. Something's still watching, and it's not happy you're leaving its VIP lounge.
You've just squeezed through that tight panel from section 11. The sarcophagus's eerie glow and ominous hum now just a bad memory. The bronze chisel still in your hand, the clay lamps bumping your hip, and your pockets a clinking mess with the pottery shard, bronze ring, and that ankh pendant you snagged. This new passage is so narrow, you're practically kissing the walls, and the air's sharp with a dusty, chalky scent that makes you cough. It's pitch black again, no more ghostly glows, and your every step echoes like you're in a giant's throat. You trail your fingers along the stone, and they catch on something unexpected. Deep, deliberate scratches, not hieroglyphs, but chisel marks, like someone was leaving a trail. These are your first real clue, and you're hoping they're not leading you to a dead end or a trap. You pause, running the chisel over the marks. They're uneven, some shallow, some gouged deep, forming a rough line along the wall. Fun fact, tomb builders in the New Kingdom around 1500 BCE often left guide marks to navigate during construction, especially in complex mazes like the Valley of the Kings. These could be from workers or robbers who came later, marking their path. Either way, they're your breadcrumb trail, and you're not picky about who left them. You follow the marks, keeping the chisel ready, because this tomb's taught you to expect the worst. The passage twists, and the marks keep going, now joined by a quirky detail, a tiny carved hand, barely an inch wide, at knee height. It's crude, like a worker's doodle, maybe a signature or a good luck charm. Historians still argue whether such marks were practical or superstitious, but you're just glad for the company. You touch it, half expecting it to zap you, but it's just stone. The air's getting drier, and your throat's begging for water you don't have. Joke time? Why do tomb builders leave marks? So they don't ghost themselves. You smirk, but it's weak. You're too focused on not losing this trail. You move faster, the chisel marks guiding you like a shaky GPS. The passage widens slightly, enough to breathe without scraping your shoulders, but the floor's uneven, forcing you to shuffle. You're starting to picture the workers who carved these marks, sweating and cursing in the dark, probably wishing they'd picked a different career. Another joke, what's a tomb builder's worst day? When the boss says, add another trap. You shake your head, refocusing. The marks dip lower, then climb, like whoever made them was in a hurry. You follow, and the wall opens into a small chamber, the air cooler but still stale. You wave the chisel, testing for traps, and find more marks, now a pattern, almost an arrow pointing to a corner. You creep over, heart pounding, and see a low alcove, half hidden by rubble. Inside, there's a broken pickaxe, its wooden handle rotted, but the bronze head intact. You grab it because your collection of ancient junk is apparently a thing now. The marks stop here, which is not ideal.
You're not sure if the trail's done or if your guide got squashed by a trap. The chamber's walls are rough, no carvings, just more scratches, like someone was frantic to get out. A faint grinding sounds above you, not the rustling or thud from before, but something heavy, like stone settling. You freeze, picturing a collapsing ceiling. The air shifts, carrying a whiff of sand, and you realize the tomb's not done playing. You backtrack to the alcove, searching for more marks, and find a single gouge pointing down. You kneel, scraping the floor, and uncover a loose slab just big enough to lift. You hesitate, remembering that pit from earlier. Another joke, what's a tomb's favorite trick? The old floor's lava routine. You pry the slab, and it shifts, revealing a dark drop. Not a pit, but a steep ramp. You shove the lamp and chisel through, then slide after them, the pickaxe tucked under your arm. You land hard in a new space, the air colder and thick with dust. The ramp seals shut behind you, because of course it does. You're blind again, but those chisel marks saved you. For now, you just hope whoever left them wasn't leading you to their own grave.
You're sprawled at the bottom of that steep ramp from Section 12, the bronze chisel still in your grip, the clay lamp bruised but intact, and your pocket jingling with the pottery shard, bronze ring, ankh pendant, and now a broken pickaxe head. The air down here is gritty, like you're breathing a desert, and the darkness is absolute, no glow or flicker to guide you. You stand, wincing, and notice a faint sifting sound, like an hourglass running low. You touch the wall, and your fingers come away dusted with fine sand. It's trickling in, not just from above, but from everywhere, as if the tombs decided to bury you alive. The ramp's sealed shut behind you, and this new chamber's starting to feel like a giant sandbox, with you as the toy. You shuffle forward, the chisel scraping the wall for guidance. The sand's already ankle-deep, slowing your steps, and it's cold, like it's been waiting millennia to ruin your day. Fun fact, some Egyptian tombs, especially from the New Kingdom around 1500 BCE, used sand traps to deter robbers, with hidden chambers designed to flood and crush intruders under weight or suffocation. This one's no myth, and you're in it, with sand pouring faster now, hissing like a snake. You're not sure if it's a trap or just the tomb crumbling, but either way, you're on the clock. You wave the chisel, hoping for a ledge or exit, but the sand's climbing, now at your shins. A quirky tidbit, builders sometimes rigged sand traps with counterweights, so a single step could unleash a deluge. Historians still argue whether these were meant to kill or just delay, but as the sand hits your knees, you're leaning toward kill. You're starting to picture yourself as a gritty snowman, and it's not a fun image. Joke time, why do tombs love sand? It's the ultimate get-lost powder. You snort, but it's half a cough, the air's thick with dust, and your lungs are complaining. You slog through the sand, each step a battle, and find a wall, its surface rough but solid. No carvings, just stone, which is both a relief and a problem. No clues, but no creepy eyes either. The sand's up to your thighs now, and you're moving like you're in molasses. You swing the pickaxe head, not caring about precision, and it thunks against something hollow. You freeze, heart racing, and tap again. A low, wooden sound, like a buried door. You dig with the chisel, sand pouring back faster than you can clear it, and uncover a panel, small but real. It's your shot, but the sand's not giving you a break. You pry at the panel, the chisel slipping in your sweaty grip. The sand's at your waist, and you're fighting panic, picturing those workers who set this trap, probably high-fiving over their evil genius. Another joke, what's a sand trap's favorite song? Dust in the Wind. You shake your head, digging faster. The panel shifts, revealing a dark gap, but the sand's pouring in behind you, pushing you forward. You shove the lamp and pickaxe through, then dive after them, the chisel nearly lost in the deluge.
You tumble into a new space, sand spilling after you like an angry wave, but the flow slows, then stops. You're on your knees, coughing, covered in grit. The new chamber's air is cooler, with a faint metallic tang, and the floor is solid stone, no more sand, at least for now. You pat yourself down, miraculously still holding everything, though you're starting to feel like a walking flea market. You stand, waving the chisel, and find a wall, its surface smooth but uneven, like it was patched in a hurry. A faint vibration runs through it, not the hum from before, but something mechanical, like gears long rusted. You're not sure if it's a trap or a clue, but you're alive, and that's enough for now. A soft clatter echoes behind you, not the sand, not the rustling, but something new, like pebbles falling. You spin, blind, and grip the chisel tighter. The tomb's not done with you, and that sand trap was just a warm-up. You're hoping those chisel marks from before show up again, because you could use a guide. For now, you're stuck in the dark, with only your wits and a pocket full of junk to keep you going. Another joke, why don't tombs run out of sand? They've got a pharaoh's supply. You move forward, praying the next surprise isn't an encore.
You're still spitting out sand from that gritty trap in section 13, your hands clutching the bronze chisel and clay lamp, with your pocket bulging from the pottery shard, bronze ring, ankh pendant, and pickaxe head. This new chamber's air is sharp with that metallic tang, and the darkness is so thick it feels like it's pushing back. The faint vibration you felt in the wall has faded, but the silence isn't comfortable. It's the kind that hides something big. You take a step, and your foot brushes cold stone, not sand, thank the gods. Then you see it, looming in the dimmest glow from nowhere. A massive statue of Anubis, its jackal head glaring down, eyes glinting like they're alive. You freeze, because this guy doesn't look like he's here to hand out welcome baskets. You inch closer, chisel raised, the lamp feeling like a paperweight. The statue's huge, at least 10 feet tall, carved from black stone that drinks in the light. Its ears are sharp, its snout curled in a snarl, and those eyes, maybe inlaid with obsidian, seem to track you. Fun fact, Anubis, god of mummification, was a tomb's guardian in Egyptian belief, guiding souls or judging intruders. Statues like this, common in New Kingdom tombs around 1500 BCE, were meant to scare off robbers or appease the divine bouncer. You're not stealing, but you're pretty sure Anubis isn't buying your just passing through excuse. You circle the statue, keeping your distance. The glow's faint, sourceless, like the tomb's playing tricks again. A quirky tidbit, some Anubis statues had hidden mechanisms, like springs to make them move and spook thieves. Historians still argue whether these were practical traps or just psychological warfare, but those eyes are giving you chills. You wave the chisel, half expecting the statue to lunge. Nothing happens, but the air's heavier, like Anubis is breathing down your neck. Joke time, why's Anubis such a grump? He's got a bone to pick with trespassers. You smirk, but it's shaky, and you're not feeling brave. The chamber's small, the walls rough and unpolished, like it was carved in a rush. You spot offerings at the statue's base, crumbled bread, a cracked bowl, maybe wine stains. They're ancient, untouched, and you're not hungry enough to try them. The statue's glare feels personal, and you're starting to think it's tied to that curse from earlier, the one that rustled and watched. You move past it, keeping one eye on those glinting pupils, and find a narrow passage behind, its entrance half blocked by rubble. You hesitate, picturing Anubis high-fiving the sand trap's designer. Another joke, what's Anubis's favorite job? Tomb security, no contest. You shake your head, focusing. You squeeze through the passage, the chisel scraping sparks. The air's colder, with a damp edge that smells of mildew, and the floor slopes upward. Finally, a change from diving deeper. You're hoping it's a good sign, but this tomb's got a knack for dashing hopes. The statue's presence lingers, like it's watching through the walls, and you're not ruling out some divine CCTV. You wave the chisel, feeling for traps, and find more scratches on the wall. Not the chisel marks from before, but shallower, like claw marks. Your stomach twists, picturing someone or something trying to claw their way out. A faint howl echoes, not wind, but something alive, low and guttural. You stop, heart pounding, and grip the lamp tighter, wishing it was a flashlight. It's not Anubis unless statues growl, but it's close enough to make you rethink your choices. You move faster, the passage twisting, and the claw marks keep going, now deeper, more frantic. You're not sure if they're a warning or a guide, but they're all you've got. Another joke. Why don't jackal gods sing? Their bark's worse than their bite. You force a chuckle, but it's hollow. The passage widens, and you step into a new space, the air fresher but no less tense. You're not alone. That howl's still out there, and Anubis's glare feels like it's burned into your back. You're hoping for a real exit, not another trap, but the tomb's not known for playing nice. You clutch the chisel, ready for whatever's next, and pray those claw marks aren't leading you to the thing that made them. You've just stepped out of that claustrophobic passage from section 14, Anubis's jackal glare and that eerie howl still rattling your nerves. The bronze chisel sweaty in your hand, the clay lamp's a useless burden, and your pocket's a jangling mess with the pottery shard, bronze ring, unk pendant, and pickaxe head. The new chamber's air is fresher but heavy, like a storm's brewing underground, and the darkness is relentless, no glow to guide you. You take a cautious step, and the floor feels solid, too solid. Then a low groan rumbles above, not the howl, but something worse. Stone shifting, grinding, like the ceiling's about to introduce itself. You freeze, heart hammering, because this Egyptian tomb's got a knack for timing its surprises, and you're not ready to be flattened. You wave the chisel, testing the air like it'll warn you of falling rocks. The groan grows louder, and a fine dust sifts down, coating your face. Fun fact, tomb builders in the New Kingdom, around 1500 BCE, sometimes rigged ceilings with loose keystones designed to collapse if intruders messed with the wrong stone. This one's no accident. You're in a trap chamber, and the tomb's about to renovate you out of existence. You duck instinctively, though it's pointless if tons of limestone decide to drop. The air's thick with grit, and you're coughing, wishing you'd packed a hard hat. You shuffle forward, keeping low, and the groan shifts to a sharp crack, like a giant snapping a twig. A quirky tidbit, some tombs had dummy collapse traps, meant to scare rather than kill, with stones balanced to make noise but not fall. Historians still argue whether these were bluffs or just shoddy engineering, but as another crack echoes, you're not betting on a bluff. You're picturing those builders, smirking as they set this up, probably toasting to your future panic. Joke time? Why do tombs love ceilings? They're the ultimate drop-in guests. You smirk, but it's grim, and you're scanning for an exit before you're part of the decor. The wall's close, its surface rough, and you trace it, finding no carvings, just raw stone, like this chamber was a rush job. The groaning stops, but the silence is worse, like the tomb's holding its breath. You move faster, chisel scraping, and stumble into a low archway, its edges jagged. You duck through, and the groan returns, louder, followed by a thud that shakes the floor. Dust billows, and you're coughing again, waving the lamp like it'll clear the air. The new passage is tighter, the air cooler, but the ceiling's still grumbling, and you're not sticking around for the finale. Another joke. What's a tomb's favorite workout? The crush press. You shake your head, pushing forward. You're half running now, the passage twisting, and the floor slopes upward. Good, maybe you're climbing out. The chisel catches on something, a loose stone embedded in the wall. You tug it, desperate, and it shifts, revealing a small hollow. Inside, there's a linen-wrapped bundle, maybe a scroll or amulet, but you're not stopping to unwrap it. You pocket it, because apparently you're a pack rat now.
The groaning's quieter, but a new sound starts, a faint trickle, like sand or pebbles. You're not falling for that sand trap again, but this feels different, more controlled, like the tomb's teasing you with round 2. You keep moving, the passage widening, and the air's fresher with a hint of damp. The ceiling's silent now, but you're not trusting it. You wave the chisel, and it clinks against metal, another tool, maybe a pry bar, half buried in rubble. You grab it, adding to your growing arsenal, and notice the floor smoother, like it's been walked before. The trickle's louder, and you spot a faint glint ahead, not a glow, but water, reflecting nothing. Water? In a tomb? That's new, and not exactly comforting. Another joke. Why don't tombs have warranties? Too many moving parts. You grip the chisel, ready for whatever's next, because this place loves its plot twists. You're not sure if the ceiling's done threatening you, but that water's a bigger worry. Anubis's glare feels like a distant memory, but the tomb's still watching, and you're one misstep from being its next exhibit. You edge toward the glint, praying those claw marks or chisel marks show up again, because you could use a hint.
You're edging toward that glinting water from section 15, the bronze chisel still in your hand, the clay lamp knocking against your hip, and your pockets stuffed with the pottery shard, bronze ring, ankh pendant, pickaxe head, and that mysterious linen-wrapped bundle. The pry bar you just grabbed is tucked under your arm, making you feel like a walking hardware store. The air in this Egyptian tomb is damp now, heavy with a mossy smell that's weirdly out of place, and the darkness is unrelenting, no glow or flicker to guide you. The faint trickle you heard is louder, and your foot splashes into something cold and wet, liquid, ankle-deep and rising. You freeze, because water in a tomb isn't a refreshing dip, it's a problem, and this place loves turning problems into disasters. You wave the chisel, testing the ground, and the water's moving, not stagnant, like it's flowing from somewhere. The floor's slick, and you're wading now, each step a slippery gamble. Fun fact, some tombs in the Valley of the Kings, built around 1500 BCE, were hit by rare flash floods, with water seeping through cracks or pooling in low chambers. This could be nature's doing, or a trap, because this tomb's got a PhD in nasty surprises. The water's at your shins, and you're picturing yourself swimming with whatever's been marinating down here for centuries. You slog forward, the pry bar dragging in the water, and the air's colder, making your teeth chatter. A quirky tidbit, Egyptians sometimes used water in rituals, pouring it to symbolize purification. But trapped water in tombs could preserve odd things, like insects or algae, giving chambers a creepy glow. Historians still argue whether these pools were accidental or intentional barriers, but as the water hits your knees, you're voting for mean-spirited. You're starting to feel like you're in a haunted aquarium, and you're the bait. Joke time, why do tombs have water features? To keep the mummies hydrated. You smirk, but it's grim, and you're scanning for dry ground. The wall's still your guide, its stone slimy with moisture. You trace it, finding no carvings, just smooth rock, like this chamber's a natural cave the builders hijacked. The water's moving faster, now at your thighs, and you're fighting to stay upright. You swing the pry bar, hoping for a ledge, and it clunks against something solid, a raised platform, maybe a step. You haul yourself up, water streaming off you, and find a dry patch barely big enough to stand on. The trickle's a roar now, and you're picturing a flood, because this tomb's clearly got a flair for the dramatic. Another joke, what's a tomb's favorite sport? Synchronized flooding. You shake your head, catching your breath. You wave the chisel, and it catches on a crevice in the wall, narrow but deep. You pry at it, desperate, and a stone shifts, letting out a gust of drier air. It's a start, but the water's lapping at your feet again, climbing the platform. You work faster, the pry bar's weight helping, and the crevice widens, revealing a tight passage. You hesitate, picturing yourself stuck like a cork in a bottle, but the water's not giving you options. You shove the lamp, chisel, and pry bar through, then squeeze after them, the bundle nearly slipping from your pocket.
The passage is dry, but the roar of water follows, like the tomb's pissed you escaped its bath. You crawl forward, the air fresher but still heavy, and the passage opens into a new chamber, the floor blessedly dry. You stand, dripping, and pat yourself down. Everything's still there, though you're starting to wonder why you're hauling this junk. A faint hum starts, not the sarcophagus's vibe from before, but something softer, like wind through a crack. You wave the chisel, and it scrapes against something rough, another wall, but this one's got texture, maybe carvings. The water's gone, but you're not relaxing. Another joke, why don't tombs have lifeguards? They prefer the sink or swim method. You grip the pry bar, ready for the next curveball, because this place isn't done testing you. You're hoping for a clue. Those chisel marks or even Anubis's glare would be welcome now. The hum's getting louder, and you're not sure if it's a way out or another trap. Either way, you're moving, because standing still feels like admitting defeat, and you're too stubborn for that.
You're standing in this dry chamber from section 16, still dripping from that unexpected swim, the bronze chisel in one hand, the clay lamp in the other, and the pry bar tucked under your arm. Your pocket's a soggy museum with the pottery shard, bronze ring, ankh pendant, pickaxe head, and that linen-wrapped bundle, all miraculously still there. The air's fresher here, with a clean, almost starry scent, and the hum you heard is louder, like a distant fan. You wave the chisel, and the darkness softens, not from light, but from a faint shimmer above. You look up, and your breath catches. A ceiling painted with stars, glowing softly, like the night sky trapped in stone. It's a celestial map, and it's your first real hint that you might not die down here. You step forward, the pry bar scraping the floor, and the star map pulses, its blues and golds flickering like a dying bulb. Fun fact, tomb ceilings in the New Kingdom, around 1500 BCE, often featured star maps mimicking the night sky to guide pharaohs to the afterlife. These were based on real constellations, like Orion, tied to Osiris. This one's no mere decoration, it's a guide. Maybe for you, maybe not. You're no astronomer, but you're hoping those stars are pointing to an exit, not a cosmic game over. The hum's steady now, and you're betting it's tied to the map. You move closer, craning your neck, and spot a quirky detail. One star, brighter than the rest, shaped like a tiny eye. It's not random. Egyptians loved their symbolism, and eyes meant protection or guidance. Historians still argue whether these maps were purely spiritual or had practical uses, like aligning tombs with stars. You're voting for practical because that eye's practically winking at you. You trace its position, and it lines up with a wall to your left. You shuffle over, the starlight dim but enough to see faint carvings, arrows maybe or reeds pointing down. Joke time, why do tombs have star maps? So you're lost in style. You smirk, but it's hopeful for once. The wall's smooth, almost polished, and the carvings lead to a lone niche, barely visible. You kneel, the pry bar's weight grounding you, and find a small stone panel etched with a single star. You press it, half expecting a trap, but it clicks, and a faint breeze brushes your face. Real air, not the tomb's stale breath. You pry at the panel, the chisel slipping in your damp grip, and it slides open, revealing a tight tunnel. The star map's glow fades, like it's done its job, and you're left in near darkness again. Another joke, what's a star map's worst fear? A cloudy night. You shake your head, focusing. You crawl into the tunnel, shoving the lamp and pry bar ahead, the chisel clenched in your teeth. The air's cooler, with a hint of earth, and the hum's louder, vibrating through the stone. You're starting to think it's not just wind, maybe machinery or something older, like the tomb's heartbeat. The tunnel's tight, scraping your elbows, and you're picturing those workers painting that star map, probably cursing the low budget for glow-in-the-dark paint. A faint clatter echoes behind you, not the water, not the howl, but something small, like a pebble. You pause, heart racing, but keep moving. You're not alone, and you're not stopping to check. The tunnel opens into a new chamber, the air crisp and the floor uneven, like broken tiles. You stand, waving the chisel, and the hum's gone, replaced by silence that feels too perfect. The star map's glow is a memory, but it pointed you here, and you're hoping it wasn't a cosmic prank. You trace the wall, finding rough stone, no carvings, but a faint warmth, like the rock's alive. Another joke, why don't stars visit tombs? They're too busy shining elsewhere. You grip the pry bar, ready for the next twist, because this tomb's got a flair for drama, and you're still its unwilling star. You're not sure if that clatter was real or your nerves, but the tomb's watching, and you're one step closer to freedom, or deeper into its game. Those arrows on the wall are your only clue now, and you're praying they're not leading you to another trap.
You're standing in this uneven chamber from Section 17, the star map's glow a fading memory, leaving you in darkness thick enough to choke on. The bronze chisel still in your hand, the clay lamps a soggy nuisance, and the pry bars wedged under your arm. Your pockets a clattering hoard with the pottery shard, bronze ring, ankh pendant, pickaxe head, and that linen-wrapped bundle, all damp but intact. The air's crisp with an earthy bite, and the silence is unnerving, like the tomb's holding its breath. You wave the chisel, and it scrapes against rough stone. But then you see it, a faint crack in the wall, leaking dust and the faintest whiff of fresher air. It's a tunnel, not carved by priests, but hacked out, jagged and raw. You've found a thieves' tunnel, and it's your best shot at getting out of this Egyptian death trap. You kneel, tracing the crack with the chisel. The edges are uneven, chipped, like someone went at it with desperation and a bad plan. Fun fact, tomb robbers in ancient Egypt, especially during the New Kingdom around 1500 BCE, often dug secret tunnels to bypass traps, targeting treasures like gold or amulets. This one's old, maybe centuries old, and it's a miracle it hasn't collapsed. You're not sure if the robbers made it out, but you're hoping their luck rubs off. The air from the crack smells of dirt and freedom, and you're ready to bet on it, even if it means crawling through a grave robber's DIY project. You pry at the crack, the pry bar's weight helping, and a chunk of stone breaks free, widening the gap. A quirky tidbit, some robbers left offerings, like small carvings, to appease gods they'd offended. Historians still argue whether these were genuine apologies or just bribes, but you're not feeling charitable enough to leave anything behind. The tunnel's tight, barely shoulder-wide, and you're picturing yourself stuck like a cork. Joke time, why do robbers dig tunnels? To avoid the tomb's guest list. You smirk, but it's tense, and you're already shoving the lamp and pry bar through, the chisel gripped tight. You crawl in, the tunnel's walls scraping your skin, and the air's cooler, with a loamy tang that screams outside. The floor's littered with debris, broken tools, maybe, or bones. You don't stop to check. The tunnel slopes upward, a good sign, but it's unstable, and every move sends dust cascading. You're starting to respect those robbers, hacking through solid rock with nothing but grit and greed. Another joke, what's a thief's favorite tool? A get-rich pick. You shake your head, crawling faster, the bundle in your pocket catching on a jagged edge. You tug it free, cursing, and keep going, the crack's promise pulling you like a magnet. A faint rumble starts, not the ceiling groan from before, but something deeper, like the tomb's waking up. You freeze, heart pounding, and a shower of dirt pelts your back. The tunnel's not happy, and you're not sure if it's the tomb's curse or just bad engineering. You move again, faster, the chisel scraping ahead to check for traps. The tunnel twists, and you spot a faint glow. Not the star map's magic, but real light, gray and weak, like dawn through a storm. Your chest tightens with hope, but you're not counting chickens. This tomb's burned you before. You reach the glow, and it's a hole, fist-sized, letting in air that smells of sand and heat. You claw at it, the pry bar useless in the tight space, and widen it just enough to see a sliver of desert sky. You're close, so close, but the tunnel's trembling, and that rumble's louder, like the tomb's throwing a tantrum. Another joke, why don't tombs let go? They're clingy with their secrets. You dig harder, the chisel chipping stone, and the hole grows, but not fast enough.
You're not sure if you're escaping or just giving the tomb a new way to bury you. You're almost there, the light teasing you, but the tunnel's shaking, and you're one collapse away from being a permanent resident. Those robbers left you a lifeline, but it's fraying, and you're praying their tunnel holds just long enough to spit you out.
You're clawing at that crumbling tunnel from Section 18, the faint desert light teasing you through a hole just big enough to taunt. The bronze chisels scraping stone, the clay lamps wedged against your side, and the pry bars useless in this tight space. Your pocket's a soggy, clinking mess with the pottery shard, bronze ring, ankh pendant, pickaxe head, and lemon-wrapped bundle, all fighting for space. The air's hot now, thick with sand and hope, but the tunnel's shaking, loose dirt pelting your back like an angry mob. You're in a robber's passage, inches from freedom, when your hand brushes something smooth and warm, a golden amulet, glowing faintly like it's got a pulse. It's not just treasure, it feels alive, and this Egyptian tomb's about to make you pay for touching it. You grab the amulet, a scarab shape with inlaid blue stone, its warmth tingling your palm. Fun fact, scarab amulets, popular in the New Kingdom around 1500 BCE, symbolized rebirth and protection, often buried with the dead to ensure safe passage. This one's no trinket, it's heavy, almost humming, and you're betting it's why the tunnel's throwing a fit. You pocket it, because apparently you're allergic to good decisions, and keep digging, the chisel chipping at the hole. The light's brighter, the air fresher, but the rumble's louder, and you're picturing the tomb's gods high-fiving over your bad choices. The amulet's glow leaks through your pocket, casting faint shadows on the tunnel walls. A quirky tidbit, some amulets were inscribed with spells to bind or curse thieves, glowing under moonlight as a warning. Historians still argue whether these were magical or just fancy tech, like phosphorescent minerals. You're leaning toward cursed because the tunnel's shaking harder, and that glow's not exactly screaming good luck. You dig faster, the pry bar now helping to shove dirt aside, and the hole widens, showing a sliver of blue sky. Joke time, why do amulets glow? To spotlight your worst ideas. You smirk, but it's panicked, and you're coughing on dust. The tunnel's walls are crumbling, and you're half buried in loose sand, the amulet's warmth now hot, like it's mad you took it. You're starting to think it's tied to that curse from way back, the rustling, the presence, the whole "you're not welcome" vibe. You claw at the hole, the chisel slipping, and a chunk of stone breaks free, letting in a blast of desert heat. You're so close, but the tunnel's collapsing, and you're not sure if it's the amulet or just the tomb's last laugh. Another joke, what's an amulet's favorite prank? Making you think you're free. You smirk, but it's panicked, and you're coughing on dust. The tunnel's walls are crumbling, and you're half buried in loose sand, the amulet's warmth now hot, like it's mad you took it. You're starting to think it's tied to that curse from way back, the rustling, the presence, the whole "you're not welcome" vibe. You claw at the hole, the chisel slipping, and a chunk of stone breaks free, letting in a blast of desert heat. You're so close, but the tunnel's collapsing, and you're not sure if it's the amulet or just the tomb's last laugh. Another joke, what's an amulet's favorite prank? Making you think you're free. You shake your head, shoving your tools through the hole, then diving after them, scraping your shoulders raw. You tumble onto hot sand, the sky blinding after the tomb's darkness. You're out, or so you think, but the amulet's burning through your pocket, and the ground's trembling, like the tomb's reaching for you. You scramble up, clutching the chisel, lamp, and pry bar, and see you're in a rocky gully, the tunnel's mouth already caving in behind you. The amulet's glow pulses, and you're tempted to chuck it, but something stops you. Maybe greed, maybe fear. The desert's quiet, no howls or groans, but you're not safe yet. You spot a faint path, maybe the robber's escape route, leading toward distant cliffs. A sharp crack echoes, not the tunnel, but something deeper, like stone splitting. You glance back, and the ground's sinking where the tunnel was, swallowing itself. The amulet's heat fades, but its glow doesn't, like it's still got plans for you. Another joke: why don't tombs let you keep souvenirs? They're bad at sharing. You grip the chisel, scanning the path, and start moving, because standing still feels like inviting the tomb to finish the job. The amulet's your ticket out, or your anchor, and you're not sure which. You're in the open, but the tomb's shadow lingers, and that glow's a beacon for whatever's been stalking you. You're hoping the robber's path leads to safety, not another trap, because this place doesn't do happy endings.
You're stumbling along that faint desert path from Section 19, the blazing sun scorching your back, the bronze chisel still in your grip, the clay lamp banging against your hip, and the pry bar awkward under your arm. Your pocket's a jingling mess with the pottery shard, bronze ring, ankh pendant, pickaxe head, linen-wrapped bundle, and that glowing scarab amulet, which is now cool but still faintly pulsing like it's got a mind of its own. The air's dry, smelling of baked rock and freedom, but the collapsed tunnel behind you is a reminder this Egyptian tomb doesn't let go easily. The path twists through a rocky gully, and you realize you're not just walking. You're in a labyrinth, a maze of stone walls and dead ends, and this tomb's final test is to lose you under the open sky. You pause, wiping sweat from your eyes, and scan the towering rock faces. They're smooth in places, carved by wind or hands, and some have faint scratches. Maybe those robbers' marks from before, maybe nothing. Fun fact: ancient Egyptians sometimes built outdoor mazes near tombs, especially in the New Kingdom around 1500 BCE, to confuse robbers or honor the dead's journey through the underworld. This one's no myth, and you're stuck in it, with paths splitting like a choose-your-own-disaster book. The amulet's glow flickers, and you're wondering if it's a guide or just gloating. You pick a path, the chisel scraping the wall for balance. The ground's uneven, littered with pebbles that slip underfoot, and the maze's walls close in, forcing you to sidle through. A quirky tidbit: some mazes had false paths with hidden traps, like loose stones to sprain ankles. Historians still argue whether these were defensive or symbolic, but as you stub your toe, you're voting for annoying. The amulet pulses, warm again, and you're starting to think it's messing with you. Joke time: why did tombs love mazes? They're the ultimate go-in-circles plan. You smirk, but it's tired, and you're scanning for any sign of an exit. The path splits again, left, right, or straight, each looking equally unpromising. You choose left, because why not? And the walls narrow, the air hotter, like you're in an oven. You're picturing those robbers, cursing as they navigated this, probably wishing they'd stuck to pickpocketing. The amulet's glow brightens, casting faint light on a carving, a single eye, like the one from way back, staring from the rock. You touch it, hoping for a miracle, but nothing happens. Another joke: what's a maze's favorite game? Hide and no seek. You shake your head, moving faster, the pry bar dragging like an anchor. A faint rustle starts, not the tomb's old tricks, but something alive, like wings or feet. You freeze, heart pounding, and grip the chisel tighter. It's probably a bird, but in this place you're not ruling out a vengeful hawk god. The rustle fades, but the maze's walls feel tighter, like they're hurting you. You backtrack to the split, trying the right path this time, and find more scratches, definitely marks, pointing deeper. The amulet's pulsing faster, and you're not sure if it's cheering you on or warning you. The path widens, and you stumble into a small clearing, the walls circling like a stone arena, with a single dark gap on the far side. You approach the gap, the amulet now hot, its glow lighting the ground. You spot a loose stone, rigged to trip, and step over it, feeling briefly smug. The gap's a tunnel, low and rough, and you're not thrilled about crawling again, but staying here's worse. Another joke: why don't mazes have maps? They'd ruin the tomb's fun. You shake your head, moving faster, the pry bar dragging like an anchor. A faint rustle starts, not the tomb's old tricks, but something alive, like wings or feet.
You freeze, heart pounding, and grip the chisel tighter. It's probably a bird, but in this place you're not ruling out a vengeful hawk god. The rustle fades, but the maze's walls feel tighter, like they're hurting you. You backtrack to the split, trying the right path this time, and find more scratches. Definitely marks, pointing deeper. The amulet's pulsing faster, and you're not sure if it's cheering you on or warning you. The path widens, and you stumble into a small clearing, the walls circling like a stone arena, with a single dark gap on the far side. You approach the gap, the amulet now hot, its glow lighting the ground. You spot a loose stone, rigged to trip, and step over it, feeling briefly smug. The gap's a tunnel, low and rough, and you're not thrilled about crawling again, but staying here's worse. Another joke. Why don't mazes have maps? They'd ruin the tomb's fun. You shove the lamp and pry bar through, then crawl after, the chisel in your teeth. The tunnel's tight, the air stale, but the amulet's glow is steady, like it's finally on your side. You're hoping it's leading to freedom, not another.
You've just crawled out of that cramped tunnel from Section 20, the desert sun blinding after the maze's shadows. The bronze chisel's still in your hand, the clay lamp's a battered sidekick, and the pry bar slung under your arm. Your pocket's a clinking chaos of the pottery shard, bronze ring, ankh pendant, pickaxe head, linen-wrapped bundle, and that scarab amulet, its glow now faint but still warm, like it's whispering secrets. The air's hot, thick with sand and sage, but there's a new sound, a low, rhythmic chant, like voices carried on the wind. You're standing in a narrow canyon, the labyrinth's walls behind you, and that chant's coming from somewhere close, ghostly and insistent, like a priest's echo from this Egyptian tomb's ancient past. It's guiding you, or maybe luring you, and you're too tired to care which. You shuffle forward, the chisel scraping the canyon's rocky wall. The chant's words are gibberish, maybe ancient Egyptian, maybe your imagination, but they're steady like a heartbeat. Fun fact, priests in the New Kingdom, around 1500 BCE, performed chants during burials to guide souls through the underworld, often inscribing them on tomb walls. This one's no recording, it's alive, vibrating the air, and you're hoping it's a signpost to freedom, not a trap. The amulet pulses in sync with the chant, and you're starting to think it's more than a shiny trinket. It's a key or a curse, and you're stuck with it either way. The canyon narrows, forcing you to sidle through, the pry bar catching on jagged stone. A quirky tidbit? Some chants were believed to summon gods like Thoth or Anubis, ensuring the dead's safe passage. Historians still argue whether these were spiritual or just ceremonial flexes, but as the voices grow louder, you're feeling watched again. You're picturing priests in linen robes, waving incense, probably side-eyeing your dusty sneakers. Joke time. Why do priests chant? To keep the gods on speed dial. You smirk, but it's shaky, and you're scanning for the source of those voices, hoping they're friendly. The chant shifts, sharper now, and the canyon opens into a small clearing ringed by cliffs. In the center, there's a low altar, cracked but intact, with faded carvings, snakes maybe, or reeds. The voices are loudest here, echoing off the rocks, but there's no one. You approach the altar, the amulet burning hot, its glow flaring. You touch it, and the chant stops, leaving a silence that's heavier than the desert heat. You're not sure if you broke something sacred or passed a test, but the air's tingling like static before a storm. Another joke, what's a priest's favorite karaoke? Hymns to the afterlife. You shake your head, gripping the chisel. You circle the altar, and the amulet's glow lights a faint path, scratches in the sand like those robber's marks from before. They lead to a cliff face, smooth but cracked, with a narrow seam barely visible. You pry at it with the bar, the chisel helping, and a slab shifts, revealing a dark passage. You're sick of tunnels, but the chant starts again, softer, urging you forward. You shove the lamp and pry bar through, then squeeze after. The amulet's heat guiding you like a tiny sun. The passage is short, opening into a shallow cave, the air cool and smelling of dust.
Inside, there's a single carving on the wall, a lotus flower glowing faintly like the star map from earlier. The chants here, louder, and you swear it's coming from the stone itself. You touch the lotus, and the voices fade, leaving a hum that's almost soothing. The amulet cools, its glow steady, and you're starting to think it's on your side. Another joke: why don't tombs have choirs? The priests never leave. You move forward, the cave sloping up, and spot a faint light ahead. Not the amulets, but real, golden sunlight. Your heart leaps, but you're not celebrating yet. This tomb's too sneaky. You're close, the chant a memory, but its push still in your bones. The amulet's your guide, and you're hoping it's leading to an exit, not another divine pop quiz. The tomb's out there, its presence lingering, and you're one step from freedom or a final trick.
You're scrambling up that sloping cave from Section 21, the golden sunlight ahead teasing you like a mirage. The bronze chisel still in your hand, the clay lamps a battered tag-along, and the pry bars scraping the floor under your arm. Your pocket's a jangling hoard with the pottery shard, bronze ring, ankh pendant, pickaxe head, linen-wrapped bundle, and the scarab amulet. Its glow now a soft hum, like it's finally playing nice. The air's warm, thick with desert dust, and the ghostly chant from before is gone, replaced by the faintest breeze whispering of freedom. You're in this Egyptian tomb's final stretch, and that light's a crack in the cliff, so close you can taste it. But this place loves its last-minute twists, and you're not out yet. You push forward, the chisel scraping the cave's rough walls, and the light grows, painting the stone in shades of amber. Fun fact, tomb exits in the New Kingdom, around 1500 BCE, were often hidden in cliffs or sealed with boulders to thwart robbers, blending into the desert like nature's camouflage. This crack's no grand doorway, it's a jagged split, barely wide enough for you, but it's real, and you're praying it's not another trap. The amulet pulses, cool now, and you're hoping it's cheering you on, not setting you up for a fall. The cave narrows, forcing you to duck, the pry bar catching on a ledge. A quirky tidbit, some exits had guardian carvings, like eyes or falcons to scare off intruders with divine stink eye. Historians still argue whether these were symbolic or just spooky decor, but you're too focused to check for them. The light's blinding now, and you're squinting, heart pounding like a drum. You're picturing those robbers from the tunnel, maybe standing right here, laughing as they escaped with their loot. Joke time. Why do tombs hide their exits? They're shy about goodbyes. You smirk, but it's tense, and you're inching toward the crack. You reach it, the breeze hot and sandy, smelling of sun-baked rock. You peer through, and it's the desert, real, endless, with dunes rolling like waves. Your chest tightens with hope, but the crack's tight, and you're not sure you'll fit with all your junk. You shove the lamp and pry bar through, then the chisel, and start squeezing, the amulet's glow lighting your pocket. The stone scrapes your skin, and you're halfway out when a low rumble starts. Not the tunnel's collapse, but something closer, like the cliff itself is grumbling. Another joke, what's a tomb's favorite exit line? Stay for the encore. You push harder, panic creeping in. You're almost through, one arm free, when the amulet flares hot again, and the rumble grows, shaking pebbles loose. You're stuck, the crack too narrow, and you're cursing your pack rat habits. You yank out the bundle and pickaxe head, tossing them through, and the extra room's enough to pop you out like a cork. You tumble onto hot sand, the light blinding, and roll to your feet, grabbing your tools. The cracks shrinking, stone grinding, like the tomb slamming the door. You back away, the amulet cooling, its glow fading, and the rumble stops, leaving silence and a sealed cliff face. You're out, standing in the desert, the sun scorching your face. The tomb's gone, its entrance vanished, like it was never there. You pat your pocket. Everything's still there. The amulet now just a warm weight. Another joke. Why don't tombs say goodbye? They're too busy plotting your return. You scan the horizon, spotting a faint trail, maybe leading to civilization, maybe not. The air's clear, no chants or howls, but you feel it, the tomb's presence, lingering like a bad dream. You're free, but you're not sure it's done with you, and that amulet's a reminder you've got unfinished business. You start walking, the light fading as the sun dips, and the trail's your only guide. The tomb's behind you, but its shadow's long, and you're hoping the next step doesn't pull you back in.
You're trudging along that faint desert trail from Section 22, the sun sinking into a fiery haze, casting long shadows across the dunes. The bronze chisels still in your hand, the clay lamps a dusty companion, and the pry bars slung under your arm, heavier with every step. Your pockets a rattling trove, pottery shard, bronze ring, ankh pendant, and the scarab amulet, its glow gone, but its weight a quiet warning. The linen-wrapped bundle and pickaxe head are back in there too, reclaimed from your desperate toss. The air's cooling, smelling of dry sage and stone, but your relief at escaping the tomb's crack is short-lived. Ahead, blocking the trail, looms a massive boulder, smooth and ominous, like the tomb's final handshake. You're not out of this Egyptian nightmare yet. You approach, the chisel scraping the boulder's surface, and it's solid. Granite, maybe, dwarfing you at twice your height. Fun fact, New Kingdom tombs, around 1500 BCE, often used boulders as seals or traps, rolled into place to block exits or crush intruders. This one's no natural rock slide. It's carved, faintly etched with a sun disk, like Ra himself is daring you to try. You're exhausted, but the trail ends here, and going back's not an option. The tomb's sealed cliff is a memory you'd rather forget. The amulet's warm again, and you're wondering if it's rooting for you or the boulder. You circle it, looking for a gap, but it's snug against the canyon walls, a perfect fit. A quirky tidbit, some boulders were rigged with counterweights, letting priests move them, but trapping robbers. Historians still argue whether these were engineering feats or divine flexes, but as you push uselessly, you're voting for impossible. The amulet pulses, and you pull it out, its scarab shape glinting in the fading light. You hold it to the sun disk carving, half joking, and a faint click echoes, like a lock turning. Joke time. Why do boulders guard tombs? They're the ultimate gate crashers. You freeze, hoping you didn't just trigger a trap. The boulder doesn't roll, but a narrow seam appears in the rock beside it, a hidden panel, barely wide enough to squeeze through. You pry at it with the bar, the chisel helping, and it shifts, revealing a dark slit. The amulet's glow returns, soft but insistent, like it's saying, "Hurry up." You're picturing those priests smirking as they rigged this, probably betting no one would get this far. Another joke, what's a boulder's favorite hobby? Playing hard to get. You shove the lamp and pry bar through, then slip in, the amulet's light guiding you. The passage is tight, the air stale, and you're praying it's not another dead end. You emerge into a small cave, the boulder's other side visible through a stone lattice. Clever, letting air in but keeping you out. The trail continues beyond, but a new obstacle glints in the dimness. A bronze grate embedded in the floor, covering a shaft. You kneel, the amulet's glow showing faint carvings, snakes, coiled and ready. You're not sure if it's a trap or a lock, but the trail's on the other side, and you're too close to quit. You wedge the pry bar into the grate, straining, and it budges, but a faint hiss starts, like air escaping. You stop, heart pounding, picturing poison gas or worse. You try the chisel instead, tapping the carvings, and the hiss fades, replaced by a soft clunk.
The grate lifts, revealing a shallow drop to the trail below. Another joke, why don't tombs use doors? Boulders are more dramatic. You lower the lamp and pry bar, then drop through, landing hard but alive. The trail's open now, stretching into the desert, and the boulder's a hulking shadow behind you. The amulet's cool, its job done, but you feel the tomb's eyes on you, like it's grudgingly letting you go. You're almost free, but this place doesn't do clean exits, and you're bracing for one last surprise. You move forward, the trail clear, but the desert vast, and the amulet's weight reminds you you're not just escaping, you're carrying something out. The tomb's reach is long, and you're hoping the next step doesn't drag you back.
You're hobbling along the open desert trail from Section 23, the boulder's shadow fading behind you as twilight paints the dunes purple. The bronze chisels still in your hand, the clay lamps a battered relic, and the pry bars dragging under your arm like a grumpy pet. Your pockets a clinking chaos of the pottery shard, bronze ring, ankh pendant, pickaxe head, linen-wrapped bundle, and the scarab amulet, its faint warmth a nagging reminder of the tomb's grip. The air's crisp, smelling of cooling sand and distant juniper, but your relief is cut short. A low kleck sounds underfoot, and the ground trembles, like you've just stepped on the tomb's last nerve. You're in the open, but this Egyptian death trap's final trap is springing, and it's not letting you stroll away without a fight. You freeze, the chisel raised, as the sand shifts, revealing a stone slab beneath, etched with a faint cobra. Fun fact, New Kingdom tombs, around 1500 BCE, sometimes had outdoor traps, pressure plates or hidden shafts to catch robbers who thought they'd escaped. This one's no accident, it's rigged, and you're the unlucky guest. The slab sinks an inch, and a grinding starts, not from above, but below, like gears waking up. You leap back, but the trail's collapsing, sand pouring into a widening pit. The amulet pulses, hot now, and you're cursing your sticky fingers for grabbing it. You scramble to solid ground, the pry bar slipping but caught just in time. A quirky tidbit, some traps used animal motifs, like cobras, to invoke broads like Wadjet, protector of pharaohs. Historians still argue whether these were symbolic or meant to terrify, but as the pit yawns wider, you're terrified enough. You're picturing the tomb's builders, chuckling over their sadistic blueprint, probably betting you'd hit this spot. Joke time? Why do tombs love traps? They're the gift that keeps on giving. You smirk, but it's panicked, and you're scanning for a way around, the lamp swinging uselessly. The pit's edges crumble, forcing you to the canyon wall, where faint scratches, those robber's marks again, point left. You follow, the ground still shaking, and spot a narrow ledge, barely a foot wide, hugging the cliff. You edge onto it, the chisel scraping for balance, the amulet's glow flaring like a tiny spotlight. The pit's hissing now, not gas but sand, swirling like a whirlpool. You're halfway across when a sharp crack splits the air, a hidden panel in the cliff, spitting a flurry of small darts. You duck, one grazing your arm, stinging but not deadly. Another joke, what's a trap's favorite party trick? The dart and dash. You grit your teeth, moving faster. The ledge widens, and you leap to stable ground, the pit's roar fading but the dart's clatter echoing. You're alive, but your arm's throbbing, and the amulet's burning, like it's mad you dodged the trap. You check the marks, they're clearer now, almost an arrow, leading to a shallow cave mouth. You hesitate, picturing another boulder or worse, but the trail's gone, swallowed by the pit. You shove the lamp and pry bar in, then follow, the amulet's glow lighting a short tunnel. It's rough, like the robbers' work, and you're hoping they knew what they were doing. You emerge into a rocky outcrop, the desert stretching endless before you, stars pricking the sky. The trap's behind you, the pit silent, but the amulet's still warm, a reminder you're not free yet. Another joke, why don't tombs quit? They're too attached to their guests. You spot a faint path, maybe leading to a village, maybe nowhere, but it's all you've got. The tomb's presence lingers, a weight on your chest, and you're wondering if the amulet's glow drew that trap's attention. You're out, but the desert's vast, and this place plays dirty. You grip the chisel, ready for anything, and start walking, praying the next step doesn't spring another surprise.
You're limping along that faint desert path from Section 24, the stars above sharp as needles, the night air biting through your sweat-soaked clothes. The bronze chisel still in your hand, the clay lamps a cracked keepsake, and the pry bars a heavy burden under your arm. Your pockets a jangling vault, pottery shard, bronze ring, ankh pendant, pickaxe head, linen-wrapped bundle, and the scarab amulet, its warmth now a soft pulse, like it's finally tired of tormenting you. The tomb's last trap, that dart-spitting pit, is behind you, but its sting lingers in your arm, and the desert's silence feels like a held breath. You're almost free, but the path ends at a narrow ravine, its far side bathed in moonlight, teasing escape, or one final trick. This Egyptian tomb's not done with you, and you're about to find out if you're walking out or staying forever. You edge to the ravine's lip, the chisel scraping loose pebbles that tumble into darkness. The gaps may be 10 feet, too wide to jump, but a rope bridge sways faintly, its fibers frayed, like it's been waiting centuries for you. Fun fact, New Kingdom tomb complexes around 1500 BCE sometimes included natural barriers like ravines, used as final defenses to protect sacred sites. This bridge is no accident. Someone built it, maybe robbers, maybe priests, and you're hoping it holds. The amulet pulses, cool now, and you're wondering if it's a good luck charm or the reason you're still dodging death. You test the bridge, one foot pressing a creaking plank. It sways, but holds, and you shuffle forward, the pry bar balanced like a tightrope walker's pole. A quirky tidbit, some bridges were rigged to collapse, a last gotcha for thieves. Historians still argue whether these were traps or just shoddy work. But as the ropes groan, you're praying for craftsmanship. The amulet's glow flares, lighting the far side, where a faint carving, a lotus, marks solid ground. You're picturing those robbers cursing as they crossed, probably wishing they'd stayed home. Joke time? Why do tombs have bridges? To make you sweat the finale. You smirk, but it's grim, and you're halfway across. A sharp snap cracks the air, one rope frays, the bridge lurching. You grip the chisel, heart slamming, and lunge forward, the lamp nearly slipping. The amulet burns, like it's urging you on, and you scramble, reaching the far side as another rope gives. You roll onto stone, the bridge collapsing into the ravine with a dusty thud. You're alive, panting, and the lotus carvings under your hand, cool and real. Another joke? What's a bridge's favorite exit? Going out with a swing. You stand, the path clear now, stretching into the desert, where distant lights flicker. Maybe a village, maybe hope. You check your pocket. Everything's there. The amulet now just a warm weight. The tomb's presence is faint, like a whisper fading, but you feel it watching, grudgingly letting you go. You start walking, the stars your only guide, and the path feels solid, like it's leading somewhere real. Another joke? Why don't tombs say farewell? They're too busy planning sequels. You're free, or close, but the amulet's pulse reminds you you're carrying a piece of that place, and it might not be done with you. You edge to the ravine's lip, the chisel scraping loose pebbles that tumble into darkness. The gaps may be 10 feet, too wide to jump, but a rope bridge sways faintly, its fibers frayed, like it's been waiting centuries for you. Fun fact, New Kingdom tomb complexes, around 1500 BCE, sometimes included natural barriers like ravines, used as final defenses to protect sacred sites. This bridge is no accident. Someone built it, maybe robbers, maybe priests, and you're hoping it holds. The amulet pulses, cool now, and you're wondering if it's a good luck charm or the reason you're still dodging death. You test the bridge, one foot pressing a creaking plank. It sways, but holds, and you shuffle forward, the pry bar balanced like a tightrope walker's pole. A quirky tidbit? Some bridges were rigged to collapse, a last gotcha for thieves. Historians still argue whether these were traps or just shoddy work. But as the ropes groan, you're praying for craftsmanship. The amulet's glow flares, lighting the far side, where a faint carving, a lotus, marks solid ground. You're picturing those robbers cursing as they crossed, probably wishing they'd stayed home. Joke time? Why do tombs have bridges? To make you sweat the finale.